What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your week in review for the 20th of July, 2020. The 3.10 PTU is finally here. We can finally talk about it, discuss it, all those things. I'm super excited. There's obviously some pluses and some minuses to the patch, and we are going to break it all down here for you today. But before we do, for those of you guys that don't know what Week in Review is, it's where I take all of the official news from Star Citizen each week, bundle them up into one video, and kind of insert my opinions into it. And if you did like the video when you watched it and all that stuff, make sure you do hit the like button and subscribe and leave comments below, because any interactions on the video it does help me grow and reach a wider audience. It's just how YouTube works. Also, I stream every day on Twitch, except for Monday, so I can work on this video. So make sure you go to twitch.tv/SaltEMike, follow the channel, and kind of come by and discuss anything that we discuss in these videos here on my YouTube channel. Feel free to stop by and say hello. All right, now jumping right into it, we finally have patch notes to discuss. I don't know how many weeks it's been since we've had a patch notes update on Week in Review, but it's been quite a while. So we have two patches for you today, the Wave 1 PTU patch, as well as an additional patch, the PTU M patch for 3.10. So starting out with the Wave 1 PTU, we have some new features. So Mobi-Glass variants were added, and this is basically new colors of Mobi-Glass located at the factory line shop on New Babbage. Now, this doesn't mean the color of the actual UI changes, it's just the color of the watch that you never see. So it's kind of, I don't know, this one's a little bit weird and pointless to me. I would have loved to see the UI change color with the color of the actual Mobi-Glass, but if you didn't notice, the UI did change color. It went from this kind of lightish bluish tealish green to a gray, and I see some people like it, and I personally think it's a welcome change. I'm enjoying it so far. Next thing is visor wiping with your helmet. So if you go out into a rainy or cold or snowy place, you might get some frost or rain or snow on your visor, and you can press Alt-X to wipe across your screen and across your visor, and it kind of removes some of that stuff. I know here on the side it's going to say Shift-Z. That was changed in the M patch later, so I figured if we're going to have this update right away at the beginning of the video, we should share the proper keybinds. Bartender improvements. So they serve drinks and interact with other NPCs now. So this is kind of meh now, of course, but this represents the first step to something we've been waiting for since basically day one of Star Citizen's announcement. This living, breathing universe where living and breathing NPCs are here that interact with the world around them, not just sit there and wait for you like an NPC in other MMOs. They wait for you to click on them and then they tell you their story. You can kind of be a fly on the wall and watch NPCs if you want and see how they interact with the world, do their jobs, whatever, right? So in this case, an NPC can walk up to the bar and the bartender NPC can serve them, as well as you can walk up to the bar and the bartender NPC serve you. So I think that is an initial step, but a very important one for the future of Star Citizen. Very excited for that, and I assume for Squadron 42 as well. FPS AI improvements, so more AI stuff. This is for cover and shotgun stuff. They look for cover now, and you can they can actually use shotguns. That doesn't mean that if you drop one, they equip it or anything. It's just some have a shotgun loadout, and I assume they act a little bit differently. Now, one thing I haven't discussed yet is the servers are really struggling in 3.10, so it is sort of hard to see the results of this work right now, but at one point I did turn a corner and there was a shotgun like right in my face. And it was sort of scary. So I can see how maybe this will be interesting when the servers are maybe out of PTU and on live and a little bit more smooth. The player trading app. This for me is probably the most exciting addition because I play a lot of mining and I haven't done much cargo hauling, but I do want to. And I play with groups and do economy style stuff. So this allows for smooth transfers from one player to another instantly with obviously a small fee. Some people are annoyed by the 0.05 tax that's on right now. I find this to be really awesome, and I'm very, very excited to see what additions happen to this and just how we interact with it through the 310 cycle. Very excited for that. Body dragging, this is cool. It's really just a prerequisite for future gameplay, like medical gameplay and other missions where maybe you have to hide a body, but it's a nice touch now to kind of goof around, but that's really about it. They do go through the flight combat and flight changes here. I'm sort of going to be skipping over this a little bit because I don't really see the value in explaining to you the same way they explain to me when you don't truly know what it's like until you feel it. So if you're not part of the Wave 1 patch, then you just will have to wait a little bit and then you'll be able to try it yourself, and feel free to share what you think about it with me at some point. Again, like, stop by the live stream and say hello. But for me, I will say that as a casual player, someone who really doesn't PvP and does more of the economy stuff, I love the feeling of coming down to a planet or a moon and landing. It's a very smooth experience, and ships feel weighty. They feel like heavy haulers, right? And that feels good, aside from a bug, which we will touch on later. High-speed combat. This is CIG's attempt to slow us down into SCM speeds, slow down ship combat, and basically anytime we go above SCM speeds, it's going to be hard to hit, use gimbal assist, block missiles, things like that. For me, I'll leave this to the PvP experts and see what their opinions on it. I do plan on getting people who I believe are the kind of top PvPers in the game right now, like Moist Noodle, Space Cutlet, Virgil. Like, I've been getting those people on in the past, but I don't think I've ever had Moist and Space Cutlet on, and I would like to hear their perspectives on this in the future. So I've sort of been talking to them here and there, so look out for an ATC with those guys in the future. Just have to kind of schedule it out. So, new targeting methodology. Okay, so there's good and bad here. Let's start off with the bad and end with something good. The fact that the game searches for the best possible targets and only displays those on your screen is a weird one. Most people would want to know who's around them and determine who's the threat, rather than the game decide what's most important. Is most important a threat? Is most important your friend? It's a weird thing, right? I do sort of get it, like when you would go to Port Olisar, there'd be like these UI triangles all over the place and it would make things ugly. But the thing about it is the theme around CitizenCon in 2019 was kind of gameplay over visuals, and I don't think this really fits that narrative, and that's kind of disappointing for me. Second, the removal of the ability to cycle through things like friendly targets and hostile targets is, I don't understand that. And the idea of making it so you can cycle only through pin targets, I sort of see where they might be going from, but as a player who's played the game pretty consistently, it gives me the impression that they don't really understand how the backers play the game, and they only have their experiences as game devs of how the game should be played, and I don't think it's really a good thing. So if I was to provide any feedback on this, let us cycle through friendlies and hostiles. That's very important to us. Okay, so the good. The ability to unlock a target is awesome. We haven't had that ever, I don't think. Not since the early days of Arena Commander, at the very least. Pinning targets, also very awesome. But the other issues above do make it a little bit weird, and only the pilot can pin, so that's also weird. But I've really enjoyed flying in multi-crew ships, flying in turrets, and seeing how all the pin target things work. I think it's very cool. Now, I'm going to insert this into this section as well. This is later in the patch notes, but it's the new HUD changes. So I think this goes along with the new targeting changes. So the way we aim on ships now, I'm enjoying the updated HUD from the old one. I think it's really nice. I like the gimbal assist indicator, so you actually see your targeting aim right onto the pip, so you know when to fire, when not to. I like that stuff. I also would provide a little bit of feedback, which is being addressed, is that we could use hit markers back. It is a little weird to tell when your shots actually hit. But personally, I really do like the changes as far as the pips and all that stuff goes. So just the actual targeting, maybe not the targeting methodology and this smart targeting thing, but in general, it feels a lot better than previous patches. The Greycat Industrial ROC, or the Rock, I find this to be really awesome. Even someone who loves mining, I really thought I would start to get burnt out on the constant mining updates. I would personally like to see them do updates to other things, but maybe there's prerequisites that don't allow them to do that, and this was some low-hanging fruit that was sort of easy for them to make. The key change here that I think that makes this really awesome is the fact that every ship now can scan for both hand minables, prospector mining minables, and these new rock minables, which are just larger hand minables, basically. So this makes the rock become a really viable miner for everyone at hopefully a cheaper cost than the mining ships in the game currently. So this could be really cool. We just kind of have to see what happens here because we don't have a price for the rock. We don't know what it will cost eventually in game. And obviously the server issues are causing a lot of problems there. But the earning potential on this thing is upwards around 200,000 per haul. That doesn't mean per hour, but per haul. The P72 Emerald and paints. So the emerald is sort of whatever, it's been added to the game, but the paint system is really interesting. The fact that they're putting the in-game purchases in more and more and more, and less of these like money-grabbing mechanics is really, really nice. So just, you know, kudos to that there. Lightning guns. So the sniper and the pistol, they're really fun to play with. The sniper is a one-shot to the head, even a heavy armor helmet. But if you want the AoE functionality of it, you need to hit like sort of in the chest or the arm, so you can hit them a second time while it's charged. And again, the pistol is a lot of fun. There's cool effects that go on your screen and stuff like that. The new SMG is the C54 from Gemini. This is basically a ballistic version of the Custodian if you've ever used that gun. I think that's one of my favorite guns. So naturally, I'm really enjoying the Gemini. It's a lot of fun to shoot. Location updates. Grimhex. It's cool. It's cool looking, but it has zero functionality. So I think the updates that they gave to us sort of implied that there might be scramble races coming back and there might be something to do at Grimhex. And for me, the Grimhex location is really a hero. Like it should really be our hero location, right? Maybe Pyro is going to take away from that a little bit, but in the Crusader system, this is the pirate hangout, right? So it should have functionality for pirates, and it should. I think there should be more care taken to Grimhex personally, but that's just me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And when I say care, I don't mean necessarily visual, but I mean functionality-wise. So I'd like to see some of that stuff come in the future. But yeah, I mean, it is a location for some missions and stuff like that, but you just don't see pirates hang out there, right? It's not a hangout spot yet, and that's what Grimhex should be. So I honestly don't know what could be added to make it a hangout spot. I think these changes, when the functionality to them comes in, will be great, but right now, not so much. The high-tech hangars are really cool, especially because they come from AeroView. I used to use the AeroView hangar back in the day. What hangars did you guys use? I loved the AeroView hangar. That was my favorite. So this coming into the game is really cool. The new Babbage shop is interesting. What's purchasable now there is sort of pointless, like the Mobi-Glass and a different hacking chip. But the other items show a wide range of customizability for hangars, ships, outposts. They have like the hollow tables and medical kiosks and all these things that you can't use or can't purchase right now, but they are displayed there, so you can kind of see their plans for the future. Height maps, they make the planets look really cool, and as always, every patch we get a visual improvement, and it's looking great. Mission improvements. So delivery missions might be my favorite addition to this patch. Certainly my favorite thing that's done with any sort of mission related things. And I love the fact that you can pick up at multiple locations and drop off at one, or pick up 3 boxes at one location and spread them out and drop them off at 3. It really feels like you are a delivery guy. It fits the role of what the missions should provide. The problem here is that the payment is only 4K, right? So people are sort of complaining about the price, but what they don't recognize probably is these missions replace the old Ling shipment deliveries. They were the local deliveries that were only around Crusader. These are located only around each of the locations that you're at. They are local deliveries. They are the tier 1, the lowest tier delivery missions, where future ones that travel from Crusader to Hurston or Crusader to Area 18 and vice versa and so on, right? Those missions will likely pay a lot more. Maybe you'll have to pick up 5 boxes, 7 boxes, 10 boxes, we don't know. So one of the guys, Elliot, who works on these missions, has been hanging around in Twitch chat and said they just weren't able to finish the rest of the missions and get them in. So maybe that's something that comes in a later patch like 3.11, 3.12. I don't, there's no time date. He didn't explain any of that. He just said, this is what we were able to get in at this time. And I think it is a quality of life improvement beyond belief compared to what we had before. I think it's really, really awesome, and I really like it. Prison missions. They will, add a new thing for people who don't like mining. Basically, you can refill oxygen kiosks. I've yet to see this mission. I haven't really been to prison, and I think that's sort of the point, is most people don't want to see this mission. So I don't really have any opinion on that, but I guess we'll see it later on in the patch. Restricted area rework. This is probably my least favorite thing, and yeah, I would rather, if I gave any feedback for it, I would like the spline to bring you straight into the hangar, so you're directed all the way in. But other than that, it's just a little too sensitive, maybe a little bit too small, and too hard to see. So hopefully we'll see some rework to the restricted area rework in the future, and it'll be a little bit more easy to use and more intuitive. But for a first implementation, it's the first implementation. Turrets, I love this stuff. I feel like a turret gunner, and I feel like now every sci-fi game and every sci-fi movie, you feel like ships should be flying by you and you should be following them in your turret, right? And this gives that feel, and I highly recommend trying out turrets with your friends. Ships like the Hurricane, Cutlass, Freelancer, Hammerhead, and many others that have a turret gunner just went up in use now. They're so much more useful, where a lot of those things might have been good, but not quite good enough, right? To be a part of combat. Maybe they will now. Ship quality of life updates. So a lot of updates went in here. I haven't tried them in detail, so feel free to check these out in the patch notes. Link will be in the description. I honestly don't think any of these balance changes to ships really monumentally change the game, really. But what does is that they added armor. So they finally added armor values to ships again. So they're just, arbitrary values that are basically absorbing damage of certain types, it seems like. So some ships like the Vanguard feel really tanky right now. So that'll take a lot of time to figure out which ships are good, which ships aren't, what the meta is now because of this additional change. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with it. Ship weapons. It's sort of easy to see what one of the metas is. His mass drivers seem to be a bit OP now. Put 4 of those on a Saber with the fixed weapon improvements, and oh boy, they're tough. Size 5 M7As can withstand more heat now, but I've yet to try these, so I don't really know what that feels like. And that's it for the Wave 1 PTU patch. I did kind of breeze over or skip a few things, so again, link will always be in the description for all of the things that we discuss here today. 310M, though, there's just one really thing that I want to point out here, or I guess technically 2. Wind will no longer rotate ships. Before, when the wind would blow gusts on you, it would rotate your wings and make things really weird. And they added Wallace Klim missions, and I want to thank Dade Vinci from my Discord and from a guy who watches the stream. He showed us what the mission looks like, so that's pretty cool. I haven't been able to see it yet. Now, moving on to roadmap updates. Very, very light here. Nothing of note on roadmap roundup, really. Just updated images on the roadmap for the refinery and cargo decks, which is likely going to be the extent of the addition on 3.11, just visual instead of very functional. The Reddit roadmap does show significant progress made on those refinery decks, as well as the Mercury Star Runner, and minor progress on cargo, improved throw, 100i, and the grenade launcher. Then video updates, I think we're in the final week of no ISCs, excuse me. And we did get an SCL with Jeremiah Lee, Disco Lando, and the name is escaping me, but he is the art director for CIG now. And they just went in and worked on some armors. Pretty cool stuff. Jay Lee and Disco Lando's interactions are always entertaining, so if you guys feel free to check that out if you guys want to, but no real discussion topics here for today's show. Other updates, we're sort of busy here. There are some bugs in the patch. So one of them is very important for joystick users and throttle users specifically. Basically, if you go forward on your throttle, you're at 100%. You can't really actually throttle anything. And they are aware of that bug, and they are working on a fix, which they said we'll work on it on Monday, or it'll be in on Monday. That doesn't necessarily mean there'll be a patch on Monday or the fix will be in on Monday, but they will work on the fix on Monday when they get into the office. The server room sneak peek is for Crusader Industries. We don't know what ship this is for, but I am loving the aesthetic. Re-entry effects in quantum travel. People are sort of, they love the re-entry effects here, but they don't like the way you have to get them, which basically means you need to be outside of atmosphere and fly in manually to get these re-entry effects. So a dev responded here and said there was one of two choices, and the gameplay team chose the idea of not starting out of atmosphere because it's time consuming, and especially with the new flight model, it's very time consuming to fly down to outposts and landing zones now. So they are going to have to, figure out a way to make these more, I guess, happen more often, but it is something that will require work. So I don't know if we'll have it in the near future, but maybe that'll be a polishing thing for when the game is closer to release. There's some things can get pushed aside for quite a while, and I think this is maybe one of them, right? It's beautiful, it would sell the game more, but is it something that we need right now? Probably not. Cherry is cranking out these Galactapedia updates, 5 of them, I believe, today, or this week, so check those out if you haven't yet. We did get a Greycat industrial lore post to fall in line, most likely, with the ROC. And then Rainwalker is a guy who posts on Reddit. He does frequent my live stream as well, and he gathers so much of what CIG does every week. He makes this video possible, and he gathered all of the feedback posts together. So if you guys want to give feedback on 3.10, link will be in the description. You guys can check that out. And with that said, guys, that will do it this week. So I'm really enjoying making these videos, and I really love putting them out. And I am feeling sort of positive about 3.10. There's one major problem, right? It's the server stability, or the server slowdowns. It's hard to explain what it is. There's packet loss, hitching, all sorts of really bad experiences in 3.10 right now. But if we can give feedback and provide feedback when those things are happening, maybe they can nail that down. And when you get past that, the additions to 3.10 look really, really fun. Really nice, because I think a lot of them force us to interact with each other and have fun together. The trading app, things like that, turrets, all that stuff, right? And I feel like I'm gonna have a lot of fun trying to make some progression in 3.10. One thing that I actually left out of the patch notes section, and I just realized it now, is they added additional ships to purchase in Star Citizen 3.10. They didn't just add a few. They added everything aside from the obvious very limited ships, like sail ships like the Scythe and a few other ships like that, right? Those were very limited and should not be for sale in-game, but every ship that was sold and is flyable in-game is pretty much in-game at this point, just missing the Prowler and the Cutlass Blue right now, and those were in the previous patch. So maybe they're giving it a little bit of time before those ships come in, so they can, sell them for a profit and be able to make the game. But then after a short period of time, it seems like maybe they'll be putting these ships in game more often. This is a big dump. There's the Carrack you can buy, the Argo Mole you can buy, the 890 Jump, like all sorts of big ticket ships are available for purchasing game. So the progression that we'll be able to make is really, really exciting, and I'm very, very pumped for that. So guys, that'll do it. Thank you so much for all the kind comments that you've been doing lately. And again, don't forget to leave a like on this video. It's very, very important. It seems like I've done some experiments lately, and like if you look at last week's video, the view count was very low. Not a very flashy thumbnail. Didn't tell you guys to leave a like, right? So we're trying some of those things. So make sure you do that and see if the YouTube algorithm picks it up and shares our video out to more people who may not know us. And guys, I will leave that with you. Thank you so much for watching this week, and I'll see you next week. Have a great one, everybody.